Yeah, Kun Lin has been to this stage of the World Championship before. Mohammad Soufi has never been anywhere close. But what a story he's provided for us this week. The narrative, not just of his pool life, but his life in general, is so heartwarming. And the way he's played with such exuberance, enthusiasm, I think he's got an awful lot of support, even though he's accounted for 3 Polish players in the championship.
Mohammad wins the leg.
I think if he starts to win a few racks, this crowd will get right behind him.
Yeah, and I think taking some of those Polish players out, he's gained the respect and the way the matches have gone and the way he plays. You just got to have fun with it and fun with him. You're going to see him take more time on the break shot than any other shot.
If you believe in the law of averages, you might expect Soufi to have an unkind run today. It doesn't work like that, though.
No, absolutely. He's gaining confidence more and more, and confident players, seems like the pool balls kind of recognize that. They certainly did last night. And look at this. Is he going to swerve at this one ball here? It's not the worst shot in the world. Oh, he can see it outright. So big shot to start. And he actually caught it thick. Now, yesterday, early, Wu played Lechner right in front of us. It was very nervy, Wu, to start. Now, once he got through that match, he played exceptional in the quarterfinal. So he can feed off the good in his last match. And you know, the thing I saw last night with Albin, and it was you and I that saw a very unique push out in the first game. It's almost like him being such a favorite kind of got into his head early, and I don't think that's going to happen with Wu. Looks like he's attacking. I thought he made it. And I wouldn't doubt these two have played somewhere along the line in some type of tournament in Asia, maybe the Middle East, or even in Europe.
The one is in. Shape is achieved on the 2, and here we go.
Yeah, speed control important here. If he overruns his mark, getting on the pink 4 will be difficult. Oh, he's hit it perfectly. Got a little nice bounce off the rail. He can hold easily heavy on the pink 4 to play the 5 down in the lower left. And the interesting thing about last night, of course, he did win the first game, but trailed 6-2, and you figure an underdog's got to have a better start, but that wasn't the case. Got a little straight, so I don't know if he can move the cue ball much closer. Yeah, so he's going to take on a little bit of a shot here on the purple.
The one thing about him, he won't be mired in indecision. He's so quick down on the shot, and when he addresses, it's all in one movement. The cue's pulled back, and this week, at least, more often than not, the ball goes in.
And he plays with a lot of confidence.
Mohammad Soufi wins the first one.
So, already, Kun Lin finds himself trailing. Before the match, we caught up with a man from Chinese Taipei.
My friend, my family will watch my game. Hopefully, I win world champion. Yeah.
Well, that's the message, plain and simple. And I think he could be the world champion. I think any of the 4 left could be. Clearly, you have to make the winner of our second semi-final favourites in the final, whoever they come up against, especially Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, but do not discount either of these two. That's a a dangerous occupation.
Yeah, absolutely. And either player will gain a lot of confidence,
Right,
whoever moves on.
Mohammad Soufi to break, leading 1-0.
You can just see it in his face. He's enjoying every second. Kind of curious how all four of these players slept last night, especially these two. Watch out, cue ball.
Foul stroke, ball in hand. Can you set the match clock to show it's 1-0 Mohammad, please? The match score.
Now you'll see at the bottom of the screen next to their name, Wu, what was 53rd seed here? Is that what it said?
Start the clock, please.
Yes, both were.
Or 63rd, excuse me.
Both were well down the list. Given his run to that semi-final in 2017 in Doha and Qatar, clearly we thought that Wu might be a contender. On that occasion, he beat the likes of Warren Kiamko, Albin Auschen. Eventually lost to Carlo Biardo in the semis, 11-6. And Biardo went on to lift the trophy.
Yeah, and what I was getting at is to see an unseeded player in the top, the ladder 64 out of 128. You see that to make this run, right? It's usually like a young player that's just really improved, no one really noticing where they came from, but Soufi to do it is pretty special, I tell you. He's got to play a little kiss shot here on the 4, maybe with a little left side. That way he can spin off the 4 lightly. Looks like he may be drawn by it. That looks okay. Oh, he did cannon into the 4. Really nice control. That's a touchy shot early, especially really your first offensive plays of the match.
The early stages of the week were double elimination before the last 64. And Wu did suffer a defeat. In his second contest, he was beaten by Francisco Sanchez Ruiz 9-7. So maybe we could be witnessing in the final a rematch.
Yeah, and in that match, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Wu had Sanchez Ruiz 7-1. Big shot here. He's got to play a pretty heavy stun or draw by the 8. Both very difficult from distance. Wow, that was a pretty sweet stroke.
You would think with a 30-second shot clock in operation, Jeremy, you wouldn't see a big difference in pace, but there is between these two. It's apparent already. Wu is much more circumspect. Soufi is like lightning.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to go into the 9 because going around it, really nothing offers position. So little clip. I don't know if he's going heavy. Oh, he could go by it. He overcut it. And I thought that was an awkward shot to go by the 9 coming above the 7. And this is a little bit of what I saw early against Lechner yesterday. He did settle in a bit more towards the end.
"29 years of age, Soufi. He's been living in Dortmund, Germany for 6 years. Best ever performance in a matchroom promoted major event, last 32 of the European Open last year. So this is a bolt from the blue.
He does a slow roll than 9 balls. It seems like no matter how difficult they are. And now 2-0 lead.
Wu missed a ball, overcut it, and Soufi did the rest. Nineball ranking 76. That will improve markedly regardless of what's happened and what will happen here. Just looking down his possibilities. He's already 23rd guaranteed leaving here if he loses this semi-final. If he's runner-up later on today, he's 13th. And if he wins the whole thing, he's up to 6th.
Yeah, pretty incredible stories brewing here, and match by match, ball by ball, it seems. Wu's got to leave that alone. And the problem I see is, just like last night, Soufi can break the balls. So he could put a few racks together and get a little separation
Mohammad Soufi
early.
to break, leading 2 racks to 0.
Not the best hit on the 1 ball that time, and something I really haven't seen from Soufi. Did get one down. I'll tell you, we'll see if he wants to stay aggressive. I mean, this looks like a little bit of a crazy combination on the 9, but sometimes they sit to where you kind of like them. I think he's just going to play the safety, of course, but sometimes you get, you know, where you really like a shot, he's not going to consider it. Oh, he's going to maybe pocket the 4. Okay, with the 4 hanging, we'll see if Wu wants to go aggressive with the long rail bank combination. Does he come behind the 8 with the cue ball, maybe? Banking the 1 away. That's got to be hit much firmer. Oh, he hit a nice shot here. Good speed. That's going to settle him in. Even if he doesn't come away with a shot, that's a nice execution. And twice he's gotten to the beeps, Phil. That's the last 5 seconds of the shot clock.
As I said before, Jeremy, there's definitely a big disparity between the way they approach the game. Wu is more orthodox. Soufi is refreshingly quick.
Extension call.
Interesting. He'll take a little more time on some of these kick shots, and when he gets an open shot, it's like he's got somewhere to be. It's going to open up. It's going to be a long shot for Wu. So after a missed 6 ball in game number 2, we'll see how he can recover. You know, I don't know if I put inside English here, a little left English. I don't know if it's really needed, but this is a big ball to pocket right here. I might go at the 8 and take a little chance here. That was center cut. I think that was a smart play, a little dangerous, but a lot easier to bury that 1 with a natural outside English or maybe even a straight high ball. Another big shot here, and the type of shot the players, especially when nerves are high, they like to elevate the cue versus just kind of roll the ball in.
Extension call, please.
Now he's got to play position, so can he avoid the 9 coming 1 rail? All right, he's trying to stun around the 9. This could catch a little piece of it and make the 3 very awkward. All right, he went with a high ball and he hit it pure, almost too pure, Phil. And if you'll notice, he caught the 2 a little thick to the pocket. Really worried about catching the 9 coming back for position, and consequently got snookered. If he has to come underneath the 8 here off of 1 rail, I would look at the 2 rail escape, but he's going to have to hit it with speed to bend the cue ball back towards the 3. Watch for the scratch in the side or the corner.
So in both of the last 2 racks, he's had his chance, Wu. He overcut the 6 in rack 2. This time, hooks himself on the 3. And the table is wide open. The ball's screaming pot me.
Yeah, he's got to come out delicate here. Light speed. May draw it, I guess. Oh, he went rail first. That's surprising. It's going to be just fine, I think. Yes, it held up. So he's going with his instincts like he has the entire event. And if I was in his corner, I'd tell him, don't change anything.
Yeah, don't change your winning formula, as they say.
Uh-oh. That's a little shy. He's going to have a thin cut, but for your snooker fans, if you ever watched Tony Drago, right? First time I played Tony, and I was a pretty seasoned guy. This type of speed around the table can kind of get a little under your skin as an opponent.
Mohammad, Soufi wins the rack.
There is no doubt it is disconcerting most of the time if a pace of play is dictated by a particular player. It's the slower player, but in this case, it's the faster one. Soufi 3-0 up. As for Kun Lin, he's trying to add to a proud heritage of players from Chinese Taipei who've captured this title. The most recent winner, of course, was Ko Pin Yi in 2015 in Doha. Fong Pang Chao, going back further than that, won it twice. And Wu Chia-ching, when he was 16 years of age, he captured the title for Chinese Taipei, although he doesn't represent them now.
Yeah, and I was there for that one in Taipei, I believe it was. And he played pretty fast. Of course, he was a young man, and they usually do.
Yeah, Fong Pang Chao's victories were in Germany in '93, then in Cardiff and Wales in Millennium year. Not too far from the Millennium Stadium, actually.
Yeah, I was there for that one as well. He beat the Mexican player, Ismael Paez, the jumping bean. Saw him get some action on the 9, now the cue ball. So another ball in hand for Wu to get started. This is super important in this semifinal.
Start the clock, please.
Well, Wu can't complain about a lack of opportunities. And here's another.
He's going to draw the ball above the 8. All right, I don't know if he overdrew this or not. This could be a little awkward if he's off angle going into the 7 apiece, going forward and maybe drawn back to a pretty thin shot on the pink. Yeah, it's exactly the angle he has. Nice shot. Keeping it simple. And I believe last night that Soufi, if I remember correctly, trailed 8-5 in that match. Won 11-8, so that's 6 on the spin to finish and 3 here. So 9 racks in a row on the main stage. Uh-oh, yeah. And he played the 4, I thought, you know, where the 4 was, and don't get me wrong, he's supposed to make that ball, but he could have rolled forward off the 4 to short side on the 5. Much easier shot with the 6 pretty playable.
When you interview players, they always say, it's all about me, how I play. But it isn't. It's about how the other guy plays. And if they play badly, more than likely you win. And so far, this has been a bad performance from Wu.
Yeah, especially with 2 ball in hands. I mean, the percentage of the players, you know, especially with them open, getting out with ball in hand. But, you know, I think, okay. So little things we see so far are going Soufi's way, and Not really fortune necessarily, just Wu not capitalizing.
Mohammad Soufi wins the round.
How about this? He's not playing flawlessly, but the score is flawless. He couldn't be doing any better in that regard. He leads Kun Lin, who's made a very slow start, 4-0. He's ready, definitely. And I think it was quite illuminating what he said there. Playing fast is my style. Fast players who slow down don't prosper.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it early in the stages of the tournament with no shot clock, and you saw a lot of guys really taking a lot of extra time, and I don't think it did him any favors really trying to win this event. One thing you can say about Soufi, which if you think about our game, it's based on pocketing the ball, and you can have all the experience in the world, be tactically sound, but if you're missing a few balls here and there, you're going to get beat. And we've seen it so far here early in the semifinal.
Well, that does a job, that break.
Yeah, with the open hand bridge, we don't see that very often, but he's broke the balls very well. I think with a high ball, he can get by the 7, back down for the 4. He's got to hit this really well, and I think he needs a little bit of right English, which makes it even more difficult.
Our colleague Michael McMullen was very observant earlier in the week. His cue action with that flying right arm, very, very similar. And snooker fans back in the UK watching this will recall former World Snooker Championship semi-finalist Joe Swale. So similar in that regard.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, Swale was an inspired player as well. When he was on form, there was no stopping him.
Yeah, and that's usually a sign of starting young, and you could see in the interview playing 20 years, so at 9 years old starting, and really incredible shot there. He had to overcut it to the pocket with a bit of inside English to come back down to gain shape on the pink 4, and just like we saw last night with a few mistakes from Albin, the confidence grew even more from this young man from Syria. Well, if he gets out here, Wu, I'll tell you, ball in hand or not, if he happens to get one, and he's had 2 of them so far, there's going to be a lot of heat.
Sensational. I tell you what, this man wouldn't be popular with the commentary union if we were on overtime or hoping to receive overtime, because he rattles through racks. That was about a minute and a half, I reckon. Incredible stuff. So Soufi strengthens his hand. 5-0 ahead now. But Kun Lin has definitely contributed to the hole he finds himself in.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to leave those 2 ball in hands behind, and you can see these are the early stats, but even making 10 balls, he's not on the board yet. And Soufi is gaining more confidence. Reminds me of a very good player from the Montreal area that used to play the Pro Tour, Luke Salvis. He actually played a little sidearm as well. Very fast, similar build. Luke a little thicker, but a fun guy to watch, and he can beat you quick.
Well, he won that ESPN quick pool shootout.
Yeah. Well, he threatened some very, very prominent pro tournaments back in the day. He beat me one time at the U.S. Open in 19 minutes. A race to 11. Get you some of that. Yeah, 19 minutes. He had a few combinations in there, and I actually won 2 games. All kinds of stories. He gets action on the 9. We talked about it. And there you go, Phil.
Mohammad Soufi wins the rack.
Well, from the time the tip of the cue hit the white ball, I think that rack lasted about 1.7 seconds.
That's right.
Maybe less than that. This is fairy tale stuff. Look at the golden break here.
Well,
the cue ball chipping it in.
Yeah, that's the most common one coming across. That's why we get some brutal scratches off that 9, but it's a win or lose kind of situation. But it was really good there. A little similar to Shane. Shane does it a different way. He gets the action from all the power, But I tell you what, I haven't seen anyone come and connect with the 9 with the cue ball as much as I've seen Soufi do it this week.
He's living a dream right now, and he doesn't want to wake up. The thing is, when the realization hits of what he's doing, then there might be a problem. But at the moment, he just seems to be flowing through this.
Yeah, well, you could see a very stressed
Strike
Wu,
7.
deservedly so.
Mohammad
But
Soufi to break leading 6
even
strikes
last
to nil.
night, when Soufi made a few mistakes to get behind, he looked very positive in the chair. Of course, probably loving the moment, no matter the outcome. But don't let that smile fool you. He's trying to beat you.
The third player from the Middle East in consecutive years to reach the semi-final of the World 9-Ball Championship. Abdul Al Yusuf last year, and Omar Al Shaheen in 2021 as the crowd were baying for another golden break, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, a big shot here at 6-0, just because if he makes this 2 and gains the shape across the table, 7-0 is what it may be, and maybe too much to overcome. We've seen it done this week a few times. Similar to the one he opened with, a little thick. Now Wu doesn't have a pocket for the 2-ball. It doesn't appear anyways. So things still kind of going well for Mohammad. This is awkward just because he's on the rail. He really can't manipulate the cue ball too much. And maybe he has a portion of the corner. No, he's going to go for the combo. The key to this shot, Phil, is the pocket becomes a little bigger when you don't let up on it. The 8 may slide in a bit, so don't roll it too much.
Now then, sooner or later, you have to believe, given his pedigree, he's going to get going to a degree.
And I'll tell you something that, excuse me, you touched on, the pace, right? You may see him pick it up a little bit. Just get to knocking balls in. Nice positional play there where he doesn't really have to work too hard. Now he should check and see if the 5's available to both pockets. Just gives you options. I don't know if he got where he wanted here. May be able to go forward. You could see a little grimace there, and that's why the 5 available to both pockets is kind of important. He's going to go with a high ball. Cheat in the hole.
We have to bear in mind, Jeremy, he's had some wonderful wins here. Beat the Italian Fabio Petroni, former Mosconi Cup player. Alex Kazakis 11-2, Naoki Oi 11-4, Max Lechner 11-9, and in the quarterfinals, the conqueror of Shane Van Boening, Huang of Vietnam. All fell to Kun Lin, who in 2021 won a big event on American soil, the Las Vegas Open.
Yeah, he'll probably be going back there in a couple weeks' time. That's one of the defending champions. But nothing more important than the 6, 7, 9 he has in front of him now. This could get a little awkward. I don't know if he gathered the natural angle, and he's a little off angle, meaning if you're behind the ball going away from it, you want more angle to track the cue ball easier around the table. So he's got to unleash the stroke a bit here. This is when nerves are high. You end up a little short for some reason, kind of punch it. But this is a lot of angle actually for these guys. Yeah, that's beautiful stroke. Really nice and very important. Pretty calm delivery there, so maybe this rack can settle Wu in.
Will Kun Lin wins the rack.
Well, at least the Wu duck is broken, and with this being a race to 11, we should not completely write off his chances just yet. Okay, Soufi is a little more than halfway to victory, but he's not there yet. So this was the quarterfinals we saw last night. Wu beating Duong Kwok Wang, who was terrific, I thought, in overcoming Shane Van Boning. Also, one has to say, a little fortunate at just the right time. Soufi, very fortunate, had 3 outlandish flukes on the way to beating Albin Aushin 11-8. Mario He coming through with a late surge from 9-6 down against Niels Feyen. And the performance of the day, by a country mile, was that of Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, who looked phenomenal in coming back from 3-0 behind against Chang Jun Lin.
Trailing by 6 racks to 1.
Yeah, Ruiz gets that engine, that steam engine rolling as quickly as anyone I've ever seen in the game. It's almost like just pounce from the get. All right, I believe our first break off here from Wu. Yeah, not the connection he wanted. The thing is, some of the guys hit him harder than others. The ones that are a little lighter, and that's not a questionable break by any means, but if you catch it thin, you could almost hear like an 8 or 9 way combination on the balls, and seems to never produce results.
Jeremy, you're steeped in pool. Over the years, you must have seen very big tournaments won by someone who's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to think exactly kind of this scenario, of course. You know, they used to say Tommy Kennedy's win in the U.S. Open, even though Tommy was a very good player, of course. But at that time, it seemed like a huge win and something we may never see in that type of event again. And that's the type of thing where a young player that's kind of coming up, you kind of maybe expect that from time to time. But Soufi's been competing for some time, and by far his biggest results. Touchy shot here if he's going to bank it. He's thinking, can I get into the 3, maybe get into the purple to hold position on the red 3. You know he doesn't want to play safe.
Just one thing about Soufi, I think he'll inspire an awful lot of people, because we have these 256 player events now promoted by Matchroom. These guys turn up, pay their entry fee. The vast majority hope to win. They can't really do it. But now they're thinking, hold on a minute. If he can, I can.
Absolutely. We don't always see in sports the perfect fundamental, as you would say, or technique. You know, we see that win more often than you think. It's just a lot about desire, you know, being able to repeat what you do, and never giving up. All right, he's got to gain a pretty decent position near the top head spot. Would be a good place for the cue ball. Yeah, that's where he's tracking it. You notice the 6, really he wants to play it to the lower right, so he's going to have to cheat the pocket here a little bit. And when you do that, how much you cheat of that pocket really determines the speed and line of the cue ball. So he could overhit this a hair with the 7-8 odd, like getting on the rail. You see, that's easy to overhit that because you're cheating the pocket so much. And this may work out, though, if he can get by the 9 and go at that 7 off a couple of cushions. Oh, what about the 6-9 combo? Yeah, that's probably maybe the play. Looks like he's playing this safety. I brought it up in the opening that, of course, Wu with more world championship experience in the semifinal and just more experience period, but he didn't get to play on this table last night in his wins, and Soufi did in a big moment.
Extension, please.
Yeah, Soufi trying to reach a World Nineball Championship final before he's reached a Euro Tour final. He's best as a semi-final at the Lascaux Open in 2021. There are so many stats to underline that he's not done an awful lot on the international stage until now.
Well, he's played a nice safety to where it's very hard to get safe. May want to try and hit this with some speed, trying to create a little fortune. Yeah, it's a very open table. We'll see what this 6-ball does. I don't know. With the 7-8 combo, you don't want to shoot that from some distance. He may bank the 6 lightly underneath the 9 and track the cue ball around for a save. I don't think he's going to attack here. It's a little light with the cue ball and a little heavy with the 6. Not terrible, though. Big moments for Wu. And this is kind of in between. Not the easiest to control everything, tracking the cue ball a couple rails behind the 7-8. Not the easiest to lay him down behind the 9. And a very difficult pot. He's trying to go behind the 9, so it's all speed control, and he's got to love that. Very nice effort. So we'll see if Soufi wants to hit it, this kick shot with a lot of speed, or if he plays it very light, which is the savvy play. He can go 1 rail, he can go 2 rails and kind of clip it. He's going 1 rail. Pretty good effort, but I think he did leave it on. Safety or the 6 down the rail. Now Wu, who's had a few concerns making the ball, he may elect to play the simple safety behind the 8. He's playing the safety with that low tip position there, I think, anyways. Two to 3 rail escape here, Phil.
Just thinking it's the matchup, isn't it? The orthodox against the unconventional. The seasoned player against the shooting star.
Yeah, you shouldn't go to the top rail here. You should go 2 cushions off the right side rail, trying to come across the 6. That way the 6 kind of, the cue ball kind of bleeds towards. He's missed it.
Foul stroke. Ball in hand.
7's pretty snug going by the 8. Nothing easy there, especially if you're nervous.
Our referee, Brendan Moore, gets the cue ball out of the pocket, presents it to Wu, who's in to double his total.
Yeah, and a touchy shot. Positioning the cue ball there tells me most likely he's trying to get some short side position between the 7-8, or maybe a little bit underneath the 7. That's got to go. That may marry the 7 with ball in hand. Oh, he's all right.
bread and butter 9-ball coming up. You have to wonder, is the form book starting to regain its relevance? Soufi's lead reduced to 6-2. There's Wu, lots to think about, but I think, Jeremy, he'll be feeling marginally better than he did 20 minutes or so ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Winning a few tactical battles, getting a little more time at the table. He's got to get the break going, though. I mean, hard to catch up. Soufi doesn't seem like he's in the mood to really miss many balls. So Wu's got to get it going.
Such a big day for him. If he were to lose in the semi-final, he'd be 21st in the 9-ball ranking. Yes, a considerable improvement. But if he gets to the final, he's guaranteed 10th. And if he were to win the World Championship, he would be the world number 6. Now, last night there was a new ranking event announced, the Maldives Open in April, and the top 16 in the rankings get into that. So the winner of this could book themselves a trip to paradise. I suppose if you win this and the final, it's pool paradise.
Absolutely right.
Thank you, Rack 9.
Yeah, Malta's a pretty sweet place to go. We played the 2008 Mosconi Cup there.
No, you're wrong place. Maldives.
Oh, Maldives. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Malta is nice, though, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, needs a little better hit on the 1. All right, better hit on the 1, still short, and a golden break.
Kun Lin wins the rack.
You know, it's really strange in snooker when someone's lucky. They say, he's been golden. It works perfectly here. Golden to knock the 9-ball in. So it's the equaliser in that regard. And just like that, Wu's deficit has been reduced to 3.
Yeah, and he's feeling better about things every second. Soufi probably with a nice smile after that one as well. Even though he didn't love it, but seems like he's loving every moment no matter the outcome.
Listen, after what happened against Albin Aushin, he can't complain about his opponent getting a fluke until, I think, 2025 maybe?
Will Kun Lin to break, trailing by 6 racks to 3.
Well, still not the break he wants besides the victory. He wants to make that 1 on the side, and he certainly has broke the balls well to get here. So he's got to improve just a little more. He's hitting the 1 consistently short, even though he's hitting them better and better. He's made 2, and now a pretty good safety probably coming, just because position on the 2's kind of difficult, especially to get back down table on the pink 4. So I think he banks the 1 away and tries to snuggle the cue ball up behind the 2. It's hard for these guys. They want to stay aggressive, especially when you're trailing, right? But looks to me you'd hate to cut the 1 in and come away with not really any look on the blue 2. One between the 5-9 cue ball behind the blue 2. He hit a little thick, so he's going to leave a little more than he wanted, no matter what the shot is, the jump cue or some type of kick. And why that happens is the players know on that type of shot, if they miss hit a little bit, that corner pocket could swallow up that cue ball. We saw that in a big moment with Jason Shaw and John Moore a few nights ago. Similar shot.
Extension, please.
Side pocket.
Just thinking, you know, about Soufi, that cue arm, as we've talked about, is more horizontal than most, but it doesn't seem to inhibit when it comes to playing the jump shot.
Yeah, jump shot a lot of times, even for the taller players, they'll be out sideways a little more. Very rare and hard to get up underneath. You have to be a pretty tall player to play most jumps that way. Looks to me he can hit enough for the 1 to kind of bank it in between the 5-9 back over and go up table with the cue ball. I think anyways, I think he can catch enough. Just kind of draw straight up to the middle of the end rail and just play the 1 in between. Like I said, back underneath the 6-9. That's more comfortable than trying to shave it or hit it lightly. Is he going behind the 2-8? Yeah, that's the shot I saw. I mean, he's going to leave a little bit of a look, but still, that's, you know, under pressure, that's the simple shot. Now, Soufi's got to spin into this with the kick. If he doesn't, he'll probably surrender the cue ball. Oh, you can see it. Oh, he's running good to get that up on the top rail and not give up a rail first shot. Now, Wu won't get fooled by the long rail kick here. He's going to play the safety, kind of crossing over the 1, bringing the cue ball up to the top end of the table with the 1 underneath maybe the 5 or the 6-9. If he hits it thin, he could get behind the 2. I hit it way too heavy. He's going to be very upset about that. That's an unforced error. Kind of let up on it, it looked like. Tried to control it a little bit much for my taste.
Now, if things go well here, watch the blur that will be the run out.
Well, you can tell he possesses power even with that bit of sidearm stroke. And you notice a really cupped wrist, so that kind of brings the cue a little more in line than you think. He's not really swinging across the ball. Here's that blur you were talking about, Phil.
Yeah, from the Wu safety error to potentially the rack being won, it's a minute. Little loose there, mind you.
Yeah, you just got to play a touchy stun stroke here, kind of wrapping out of the lower right corner, 2 rails towards the 8. He played it light, not trying to get at the 8, not too close anyway. He wants the balls clear out of the pocket because he likes to shoot the 9 firm. Doesn't slow roll them. And really, no matter where they're at, really.
Whacks it into the back of the pocket, and Wu Kun Lin's revival has been halted. 7-3 now to Soufi. 4 more racks required for what would be an extraordinary appearance in the World Nineball Championship final. So the numbers here, well, I think it's all about the fact that Wu has made a lot of mistakes. He's missed 3 pots. They were in the early stages. They set the tone. And if your pot success rate is 89%, Jeremy, that will not get the job done pretty much in any match here, let alone a semi-final.
No, absolutely. Balls potted and misses, those things you can really look at. The safety errors come and go because some of them are very, very touchy and difficult to play. But I said earlier, the game, not only will I think it's going to get to an incredible level of potting the ball, but I think that's
Thank you, rack 11. Mohammad Soufi to break, leading 7 racks to 3.
Soufi's been in every situation this week as well, so nothing new to him. Oh, 9-ball. Oof. He really gets a lot of contact on that 9, and that is by design.
Such high stakes for all four players left in this tournament, but financially for him, it's in the stratosphere. If he were to win this match, he'd be guaranteed at least $30,000 US, and that's more than double what he's earned in total from all tournaments in the last 5 years.
Wow. So you would guess he carries a regular job as well as playing professional pool. Maybe not. That may all change after this week, I'll tell you.
Well, if he wins this, his life changes forever, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And as it should. He's definitely worked hard to get here. He's defeated at least 2 world champions in this, former world champions in this event. Took down Bartkowski in a huge kind of emotional match with so many Polish fans around rooting on their countrymen. That's got to go a little. Pretty good. Oh, wow, nice shot. And pretty good percentage knowing the 6-7 is helping, and if he gets behind the pink, it's a bonus.
So Soufi lost his first match to Matthias Snigotsky. At that point, he was unheralded, not even thought about. Not now. He's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts.
Yeah, looks like he's hitting a high ball here, trying to hit it full, knock it around table, maybe go forward with the cue ball like that. Oh, he knocked it in.
We've been looking for a quintessential tide turner. Is that it?
Yeah, it could be. Look like Wu improving the break shot. So if he can get out here, we always talk about 7-4. That's definitely doable if you're trailing. Ooh, he got very odd here. And Wu, like most of the Chinese Taipei players, play very, very good cue ball, very percentage plays. And there's been a couple times he's gotten himself in an odd position, and this is certainly one of them. He's got to draw back. Not only draw back with good speed control, but knowing he's got to take on a tough 5-ball. Easy to let up here. Oh, he cheated the pocket nicely. That's going to help here on the purple 5.
We saw Francisco Sanchez Ruiz play an almost identical shot to that a couple of times last night when he was breaking and running for fun.
Oh, better effort there. Got through impact well. And to speak of Ruiz, and this is always what pool players are trying to get to, or they should be, nobody looks like they're out there playing by themselves more than Ruiz does. Maybe that's because he runs a lot of racks and we don't see his opponent to the table very often. But interested to see, because I said it in the opener, for me, Mario He is very similar situation as Ruiz. Kind of was in the shadow of David Alkidi for a while. Big talent. Mario He always maybe a sentence or two behind Albin Ocean in most discussions, but now not on Championship Sunday. All right, is he going to try and get a lot out of this? This is a pretty big stun. Could just kind of pinch it here and take a little more shot. He's getting more comfortable.
Kun Lin wins the rack.
The gap closes to 3, and that is manageable for someone like Wu. Nerves are entirely justified, understandable today, for so many reasons, not least cold, hard cash. Total prize fund, $325,000 US. If you get to the semi-finals, which these guys have, you're guaranteed $17,500. The runner-up receives $30,000 US as some form of consolation, and the winner gleefully skips away with 60,000 US.
Yeah, and the world at his hands, whoever that person is later on this evening.
By the way, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, if he were to justify favouritism and collect that first prize, he'd be so far clear in the world rankings.
Rack 12.
Over 75,000 points ahead.
Kun Lin to break, trailing by 7 racks to 4.
And you wonder when, if that happens, when the run's going to kind of slow down a little bit for Ruiz. He doesn't seem to want to be slowing down, and his game certainly isn't either. All right, he hasn't made the one yet. He's made other balls, but and the one's hit short every time. He's going to get a nice shot on the one, even though it's long. Problem is, what does he play for the 3? Just roll the one in? Well, they're getting some movement on that 9 today.
Yeah, rolling the 1 brings its own hazards, because under pressure, rolling balls is so difficult.
Yeah, you couldn't blame him if he cued it with low left, tried to swing the cue ball between the 5-3, 2 rails at the 8, maybe contacting the 5 to slow it down, or maybe even clipping the 3. Could pocket them both, the 1 and 3. That's a lot better than, in my opinion, especially from distance, rolling this ball. And you can see a little elevation on the back end of the cue. Oh, he is going to roll it. And it's not going to be super slow.
Rolling from distance requires the head to be still, and with that excellent camera shot, we saw the head really was still.
Yeah, that's a couple shots he's made like that kind of tells you he's getting a little more comfortable as the match goes along. Ooh, that's thin, and he's going to catch the 4 because of it. So now he has to figure out the speed control on the 4 to hold for the 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, very doable. Looks to me he can cut it in, come 2 rails just a little above the 9 for a little bit of a cut shot on the purple 5. I doubt he would go 3 rails back and forth. Very nice. You can see he starts with a low tip and then kind of raises it a little bit every pre-stroke. I wouldn't say common a ton, but definitely there's more players do that than you know.
Warming to his task.
And keeping Soufi away from the table for the longest stretch during the match. I wouldn't call this as much experience of being in this moment before, which he has. I would think this is more experience of just knowing himself. You know, I can settle down easily. I've been in this situation before. Maybe not with an opponent like Soufi, of course, but definitely has trailed. That was pretty light. I don't understand why he didn't really pull the ball 2 rails. Most players would have come out of the corner, 2 cushions there up to the center. So a little tester on the 9. Don't think the scratch is really an issue. See a little shake of the head. It's almost like he cinched the 8 a little bit there.
Praying that he avoids a skid. No issue. Gave himself just a few anxious moments there with that incorrect positional shot off the 8, but it was all covered over in the end. 7-5. This is a cracking semi-final. We've got no idea who's going to win.
Most impressed with how many Germans
you,
that
rank
I've
13.
never heard of that had
Kun Lin
so
to
many
break,
quality
trailing by
wins.
7 racks to 5.
And you talk about motivation for like those German players or all the English players that we don't know all the big names, right? Don't carry all the big names, but not only with Wu here, who's a little unexpected, but Soufi. Got to inspire everyone. All right, still hasn't made the one, which is shocking. At least in the side he wants, and he may have to take on a kick here, coming up to the top rail by the 8.
It is shocking, you know, because when we started this tournament on Wednesday, the first player involved was Wojciech Szewczyk, and he made the one in the side in 7 consecutive racks, the first 7 racks of the tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing I thought about in our next match, that you know, Ruiz obviously on paper not only rolling and running well and playing great. You can put him as a little favorite, doing a lot of things over Mario, but not a ton. But the break shot is the one that I think Mario's got to come with today, because Ruiz is going to make the one in the side at a very, very high rate, or at least you suspect so.
Here's the kick you talked about, Jeremy.
He's trying to play 2 cushions lightly out. Doesn't really worry about the cue ball. Emphasis on the 1. He's putting a lot of spin here, it looks like. Okay, that's better. He took a little off. Ooh, he shaved it. I don't know if he got a rail. That's a very difficult way to get a rail coming from behind, unless it's laying on the rail, because you're coming towards the pocket with the 1 ball. So how do you really? Probably did. That was as thin as it gets, Phil. Now Soufi may be able to play a double kiss shot here, to where he knocks the 1 into the point and it comes back into the cue ball and double kisses it in the pocket. You got to know the shot as well, but he's going to take on the kick. The double kick, the 7's in the way of the cross side
Extension
kick
call.
shot, so the 8's a little in the way of the natural coming to the top rail like Wu did. He broke open the 2 and 5 though, so big shot. He's made this, and with what looks like great speed on the cue ball, I'm not sure he can make the 2, but a good effort there on the 1. Yeah, he's snookered. I don't think he can get at that to make it. Could be wrong. And the difference in here in your pool room tables, the conditions are so clean that you may not be able to put left English on this and try and, you know, throw it in the hole as much as you could in your local club.
The way the balls are sitting, you have to believe whoever blinks first here, whoever pots the 2, will be an overwhelming favourite.
He let him see the 2. That's a bit of a mistake, just because it wasn't that difficult to get the snooker behind the 6. And
Extension called.
And that's where Soufi's speed around the table gets him sometimes. These players, when they go look where they want to go with the cue ball, they usually hit their mark. Is he going to swerve this subtly? Yeah, he's got a little elevation on the back end and maybe a touch of left English, trying to get the 2 up table and the cue ball back behind. He's not going to like this at all. And it's been a few of those shots where he's really kind of let up a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. He's been guilty of some very bad misjudgments, actually, not minor ones.
Yeah, because he had a lot of room for error there. Oh, wow, nice little check side spin from some distance. So he's still staying confident, even though he hasn't knocked a ball in some time. It's almost like the Energizer bunny, right? As soon as it gets going, it's on the move. All right, should just kind of come 1 rail. Out for the 7 in the side. Wu's got to realize he's in so much of a better spot, even though he let this one get away. Got to be patient. Hits the ball clean, though, Phil, I'll tell you. No accident knocking these in.
Mohammad Soufi
and the speed with which he demolishes racks has to be intimidating for the opposition. It seemed that way in the quarterfinals yesterday, and it seems that way here. Kun Lin, not used to this kind of opposition. I think few players are.
Yeah, absolutely, especially where he plays the most and trains. Very methodical players in Chinese Taipei. No coincidence he's followed suit from so many champions. And I think at one time the strongest country in the world in the game of 9-ball.
See there Mohammad Soufi chatting across the table. I think he's talking to Abdullah Al Yusuf, who's a good friend of his, who's sitting on the opposite side of the arena in the front row. And Abdullah was a semi-finalist last year.
Yeah, Omar Al-Shaheen, who left this event, you know, disgruntled. But I think Soufi's brought him in a better mood with his run, and he's been a cheerleader on the sidelines as well.
Thank you, rack 14. Mohammad Soufi to break, leading 8 racks to 5. Cut the music, please.
So the magic number, as they say in baseball, the magic number is reduced to 3.
Okay, he's going to get a nice shot at the 2 on the side. Let's see what the 3 has to say. I think it did come open, and I think he's got an angle that will carry him towards the 3. So definitely some work here, but he could extend that lead again. With the 8 being there, he probably is going to end up playing the 4 up long and follow down for the 6. Just because if he gets in a lot of places, the 8's going to cause problems kind of coming backwards with the cue ball. So I would keep it simple and just lay up here. That kind of naturally brings you towards the problem ball anyways. And he's a shot maker, so playing the 4 long shouldn't be much of a problem. It is hard to get much in about the rack with this guy at the table, I'll tell you. Plays so fast, but he thinks very well at that paces also.
His approach is almost revolutionary.
Couldn't agree more, Phil.
Mohammad Soufi wins the rack.
1 minute and 30 seconds, that rack. Pedestrian by Mohammad Soufi's standards. The 4 rack lead of the Syrian is re-established. 9-5, 2 away. And there's Abdullah Al Yusuf with a wide smile on his face. He was in the semi-finals last year. Now he's guiding Soufi, trying to provide a cool head. Yeah, he knows he's on camera.
And they're all smiles, as they should be. And a big reason why Soufi is here is capitalizing on mistakes. The mistake on the safety in the last, he made a nice out. Now another break and run. That's how you overcome being, you know, what little underdog, you know, a favorite. It does not matter. That's how you win matches, especially at the pro level.
Rack 15. Mohammad Soufi to break, leading 9 racks to 5.
You said it right at the start of the match, Jeremy. The greatest time amounts of time on a shot is when he breaks, but that one malfunctioned.
Yeah, and that one was a little more on him, but still, that's what you have to do when you're playing the cut break. A little more gamble with the cue ball.
Start the clock, please.
He made 2 balls, though, so Wu in a good position to cut that lead. Wu drawing above the 2 to the center of the table. He wants an angle here to come across. That looks pretty nice. This is so important, not just to get on the 3, but the real work in the rack is getting back on the 4. So he doesn't want to have to worry about the 9 or the 7, any of those balls coming across.
Can't help but think back to the action yesterday. Shane Van Boening 9-6 up against Duong Kok Hwang, and the defending champion scratched on the break, and thereafter it was a struggle that ultimately ended in defeat. Well, that scratch caused Soufi some issues.
That scratch was so unfortunate. A big kiss on the cue ball on that scratch from SVB. What a tournament he played to be out what I felt like very early for his performance, but got to give it to Wong.
Yeah, out in the last 16, but you look at the actual quality of his play, and he was right up there with the very best all week.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything more about it, but maybe him and Ruiz. I mean, that's the 2 that have really put it the best performances on, you know, match in, match out. But that's 9-ball pool, and you got to take advantage when you get a little bit of a roll here and there. Shane's had him. Okay, he's just cueing down, but watch the tip just slowly come up every pre-stroke, and then he's going to come across to the center. I don't know if I've ever seen the purple chalk before on the tip of a cue.
Well, right now he needs a purple patch. Another rack hauled back. It's 9-6. Kun Lin. He can draw confidence from an awful lot in this championship, particularly who he's beaten so far. That win over Duong Kok Hwang was exceptional, I thought, considering how Hwang was playing. He hadn't just beaten Shane Van Boening. I recall one match he'd played brilliantly to overcome Chris Melling earlier in the tournament. So that was a really good scalp for Wu. But the match I think so many people here and around the world will remember is Soufi's quarterfinal against Aushin. It was just defying the norm in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, rack 16.
We're building up Albin, of course, as a huge favorite to make his 5th final, maybe his 3rd win.
They're just over Wu's left shoulder. Second row back is Oliver Sholnocki, who was in the semi-final of this event 2 years ago. The man from Hungary, watching intently.
Yeah, I really like Oliver, and missed a little time last year playing. Okay, is he going to surrender a shot? I think he's going to give up a decent jump. I don't think the 8's in the way, but I was surprised to see Oliver out of the event as early as he was this year.
Well, that's been a rarity, the old dry break.
Yeah, I was wondering about the cue ball there, because the last scratch we had from from Soufi early in the event. Wu kind of gave it back with an immediate scratch himself. Pretty easy jump shot for these guys. I wouldn't get so concerned with the cue ball. That may make you want to hit this a little thicker than you actually need to, trying to hold up for the 2. With the lead here and a big one late, make this one. If you have to play safe on the 2, that's okay. I'm not sure what he doesn't like about it. Don't think the 8's in the way at all.
Extension, please.
Surprising. Is he worried about drawing towards the 2, maybe scratching in that corner by the 2? I'm not sure here. Hit it great, and that's the scratch I was thinking about. I think that's what made him so unsettled, Phil.
Good call, Jeremy. Bad outcome for a man who's become the darling of the crowd here.
Yeah, the gut instinct, that's what proves it's a sport to me. The gut instinct that these players possess is pretty incredible. You know, that ball flying in the air, depending on how it hits the 1, determines everything with the path of the cue ball. And you could see he took as much time on that shot than I've seen the entire event. Just pretty simple here. I might roll this in the opposite side here, just because it's a little touchy coming across and you want to get an easy angle, but this is okay as well.
We saw that on the graphic a few seconds ago. This is the 4th time in the match Wu has had ball in hand.
Nice stroke there. He's going to get pretty heavy, I think, to where he can just draw back to the center. Oh, he miscued. And I was just going to comment, you know, a lot of the Chinese Taipei players, they go with a very, very low tip, and then they come up for the draw stroke a bit. And when you could be off, it's actually, that was more off the side of the ball more than an underneath scratch. That's why the cue ball went a little bit left. Oh, what a moment. Ooh, position could have been a little better here. With the 8 being there, he's got to commit.
He's okay. Told you.
Squeezed it home. He'll shoot the 9 ball like that as well. He's knocked in many of them. Spread the cue ball for the 7 in the side. He's going to have to take a little longer shot on the 8, but nothing major. Just a stop shot here on the 8, most likely. I don't think any reason to draw the cue ball. You just saw your opponent miss cue. You got a nice shot in the 9 in the upper corner, and he's a straight shooter. Came back anyways. Surprising.
Mohammad Soufi on the hill, celebrating already. 4 ahead, a potential 5 racks to play. How expensive could that miscue be on the 4 ball for Wu?
Yeah, something, no
17,
matter how the outcome
Mohammad
comes
Soufi
down, we'll never forget it.
10 racks to 6.
Last break off in this semifinal for Soufi, so the main thing here is remind yourself, don't back off. Sometimes players get a little worried about a scratch or something like that, right? And then you tend to let up a little bit on the break. I'll tell you, like Ruiz almost, he's looked, I know he's nervous, but hasn't really looked the part. Not to me too much anyways. Oh, that was history right there. He's made the 5. Is the 6 going to be a helper? Oh, big chance here for Soufi. Makes this pocket in the side a lot bigger, Phil. Like he can actually draw the ball for shape now for the 2. If he didn't have the 6 there, I don't think he has much of a chance to get shape. Yeah, he can draw the ball here instead of taking the thin 3. Now he's going to roll this in and take on the cut, which is a pretty smart play. But if he wanted, it's kind of impossible to miss the 1 ball off the 6, right? So he could really let the stroke out if he wanted. I would. I thought it was more of a straight draw stroke. Now, if he has to cut it, that's a different story. We'll see. I like this shot. May not work out. Didn't get into the rock as much as I thought. I like him shooting. He's going to play the safety, it looks like. Wu is fine with that. He would love to get back to the table. He's played the percentages, and he's done it well.
Expressed his delight with that one as he left the table.
Yeah, he's been kind of pumping himself up the entire match, it seems like, when he walks to the chair and the crowd. Nice hit. He's going to leave some distance. Overall, he's got to be pretty satisfied. Easy safety a couple different ways here. Just banking the 2, going 1 rail behind the 6. You could do that. Kind of bring the 2 between the 3 and 9. Just go the right side of rail and kind of fall the cue ball behind the green 6. That's what he's looking at now. This was the opening safety that he kind of missed early in the match. I think that one's a little light as well. See, and right there, what you do is forget about the 2. The reason why he missed the snooker is he hit the 2 much thicker, trying to get it down table. And I understand that, trying to guard against the jump shot, maybe. Is it time for him to try and bury a big shot here? I'm not sure the 2 even really banks.
Extension call.
It does bank to the upper left. Off his right side of the 2. Probably trying to run the cue ball. Wow. So here you go, Soufi, your chance for the finals of the World Nineball Championship.
And you could hear the buzz of anticipation around the crowd.
And Wu's defense, if he dodges that side, he hit the shot pretty well. Just kind of like the match itself, maybe not meant to be.
When he pulled off a 3-ball carom to beat Mika Immonen in the last 32, he let out a huge shout that was heard all around this vast auditorium. What will be the celebration this time if these 3 balls find their target?
Oh, wow. I'm sure he's smiling because he's going to make this final. Don't see him missing this, coming across for the 9 in the side. Oh, a little light, and now on the 50, Phil. It's a little surprising, but should be okay.
Mohammad Soufi has come from nowhere. And now he's one victory away from being crowned world 9-ball champion. Stories like this in sport are very rarely written. It is fairy tale time here in Kielce. He can't quite believe it, neither can I, neither can Jeremy.